Let me know whenever we're good to go.
Yes. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Swapnali, and on behalf of Microsoft, SIS4, and UBS Forums, I welcome you all for this exclusive webinar on Turn Your Bright Ideas into Brilliant Apps. Thank you so much for sparing your time today and joining us for this session. Before we start, I would like to make you all people aware of few guidelines. The webinar is happening on Teams platform. Thus, your names would be visible in the attendee list, and also the session would be recorded. I hope this is okay with you all. I would request all of you to please be on mute and turn off your cameras during the session. We will be taking up your questions during the Q&A session. Meanwhile, you can raise your hand or else put up your queries directly into the chat box. Okay, to give a brief background about the webinar, digital transformation is changing the landscape of business. Business demand for mobile apps continue to outstrip IT capacity to deliver these apps. An increasingly remote workforce is driving demand for a new level of productivity across their devices. Out of the box applications are never complete and typically heavily customized for business users. Today at this webinar, we learn how you can unlock data silos and build apps and business processes that flow efficiently across different departments and divisions. To start off with, I would like to invite Ms. Charu, who is the Director Solutions at Microsoft India, carrying over 19 plus years of experience. Charu is the Director Solution Sales, Corporate Accounts and Education of Microsoft. In her previous role, she was heading license for corporate accounts nationally for Microsoft India. Over to you, Charu.
Thank you. Thanks for that. And good afternoon, everyone. And thanks for taking time out for this webinar. I hope you and all of your loved ones continue to be safe and healthy. I am Charu Singh and I lead the solution business for our corporate customers. Over the next 5 minutes, I'll just talk about how you should think of harnessing the power of Power Platform and what are some of the resulting business benefits. And just before I get started, right, let me tell you that I've built 2 apps on Power Platform since COVID, and I had no prior coding experience. So this is truly a low code, no code platform. Hold on 1 second, please. My slide seems to be acting up. Sorry about that. If you can just confirm if you can see it now.
Yes, it is visible.
Excellent.
Yeah, Charu, we can see that.
Excellent, thanks. Amit, I've got a bit of a glitch, it seems. If you can also keep it handy. If it acts up again, I'll just ask you to pick it up. Thanks, Amit. All right, so, and I'll tell you, having gone through the experience myself, I'll tell you for me, Power Platform is a platform that fosters innovation across your organization by giving everyone the ability to analyze data, build solutions, automate processes, and create chatbots. Think of it as the easiest way to turn great ideas into impactful solutions. If any of you have challenges like budget constraint, time or resource constraint, manual paper processes, complex processes, legacy system maintenance headaches, you should definitely try Power Platform. Let's take a few examples to highlight the benefits and the use cases of Power Platform. Now, I can see some of our friends from SRF, from Dalmia, Sterlite, and lots of other manufacturing companies on the call. Now, think of your first line workers with apps that digitize current manual processes or provide that safety information at the point of need. You can provide supply chain insights for greater visibility, serve emerging customer needs, and co-create new services and products. At G&J Pepsi, 7 people like me with no coding experience used Power Platform to create custom applications to automate the company's store audit and merchandising process. For some of our friends again on the call from BFSI like JM Financials, UTI, use Power Apps to digitize paper-based processes that will improve your customer experience, lower costs, and make everyone more efficient. Think of a contactless welcome experience for your customers. Now, irrespective, those were just a few industry examples, right? Looking at some of the people who I know have joined the call, but irrespective of the industry you are in, if you deal with invoices, think of an invoice processing app that uses AI form recognition to turn a manual paper-based invoicing process into an automatic digital one. Think of your return to the workplace app. Think of worker compensation claims, service desk, asset management. I mean, there are hundreds of examples across industries where we can highlight the relevant use cases for this. And there are numerous benefits, right? There are benefits from cost saving to agility to better collaboration. And I'll give you a few examples again. G&J Pepsi saved $500,000. An auto company saved 200,000 plus sheets of paper, eliminated hundreds of hours of data entry time. A pharma company has optimized their entire retail store operations, and there is near real-time data now available in the hands of key retail operation employees and mobility across all common devices. I will encourage you all to seamlessly extend the capabilities, controls, and functions of Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and virtual agents, and think of connecting logical connectors to your custom or legacy system. Now, Gartner recognizes Microsoft as a leader for the 13th consecutive year in the Gartner 2020 Magic Quadrant for Analytics and Business Intelligence Platforms. Forrester's study on this slide talks about ROI gains, reduction in app dev costs, higher productivity, etc. Let me leave you with one other thought as you evaluate Power Platform. The Microsoft Power Platform can be much, much more than the sum of its parts. Connect them together. Connect them to Office 365, to Dynamics 365, to Azure, and thousands of other applications. And you will see the true potential unleash. With that, let me hand it over to Anand and thank everyone once again for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Charu. With that, I would just introduce Anand quickly. Anand is the enterprise solution architect with around 16 plus years of experience in pre-sales, business development, consulting, and support. He carries expertise into building and managing relationships with customers, partners, defining enterprise CRM, CX strategy for various customer businesses and pre-sales. Over to you, Anand.
Thanks, Sonali, and thanks, Charu, for that wonderful introduction on the platform. Let me share my screen, and I hope everybody is able to see the screen. Okay, so before I give an introduction to Power Platform, I just want to add on a couple of points with respect to the overall Power Platform strategy or low code, no code scenarios. How we can take advantage of these opportunities that is there together. Now, based on a study conducted by Forrester Research on the digital process automation, almost 65% of the organizations reported that there is a huge application development backlog because of various reasons, such as resource constraints or time constraints, budget constraints, non-availability of IT or business team for the partnership in building the solutions and so on. Similarly, there are about 37% of the organizations reported that they're still using paper to manage some of the critical business processes that are key, very, very essential to run the business. And most importantly, right, the study revealed that 67% of the organizations or CIOs mentioned that they were not able to adapt to the changes or keep up with the technology changes, primarily because of either the skill set shortage or non-availability of the developer. And interestingly, right, almost 69% of the organization chose low code, no code platforms to embrace digital transformation journey. So this was based on the study done by the Forrester. And what are the key challenges other than the resource, budget, and say time? Given the current COVID situation, right, the challenges, apart from the traditional challenges, there are new challenges that are come in, like mostly the operational model moves into the digital modes, so offices closed, people working remotely, non-availability of employees in the offices, or limited flexibility on the platforms, and so on. How this can be addressed, how this can be mitigated to bring in innovation into the organization. Power Platform is a way forward. Power Platform helps you to bring in innovation into the organization, thereby helping converting the ideas into applications. When I say ideas into applications, right, say for example, there is a business user who feels that who has certain ideas in his mind, but like he doesn't have a coding skill or options to build workflows. So he can use Power Apps or Power Platform to build business applications quickly without writing any code. Now, this Power Platform is basically a low-code, no-code platform that helps you to extend the capabilities of Office 365 or Dynamics 365 or Azure, and it also helps you to build standalone applications. Power Platform consists of 4 major components. The first one is Power BI, which is basically a business intelligence or analytical platform. Charu gave a brief overview about the Power BI, and as she mentioned, for the last 13 years, Power BI is in the leaders quadrant, or last 13 Gartner reports. It is in leaders quadrant, and it helps you to bring in sophisticated reports and dashboards or rich visualizations that helps in better business decision making. I'll move into the next component, which is Power Apps, which is basically an application development platform that helps you to build business applications quickly. And these applications can be either a web application or a mobile application that can be built on top of your existing systems or applications. And when I say existing systems or applications, right, say for example, you would have made certain investments, say for example, on SAP or certain third-party applications or even homegrown applications. You have the data model that is already there with you, and the underlying database is rigid, and you just want to modernize the user interface. You will be able to use Power Apps for that. Or you want to build an end-to-end application including the database, you will be able to still leverage Power Apps. So with Power Apps, right, we provide common data service, which is a proven database with a pre-built data model provided to you, and this data model is completely extensible and customizable at the UI layer. When I say UI layer, you don't really need to write or know any DDLs or DMLs to model your database or insert data or retrieve data from this particular database. You will be able to do all this from the user interface actually. This is bundled with Power Apps, so you'll be able to build an end-to-end applications with common data service and Power Apps. On the other side, I talked about leveraging your existing systems or applications. So we provide 300 plus data connectors that takes care of the data movement between Power Apps app and your existing data sources. These data sources are both Microsoft applications or systems or platforms, and non-Microsoft services as well. When I say Microsoft services, it includes like say platforms like Office 365 services, including SharePoint, OneDrive, Outlook, Excel, and so on, or Dynamics 365 applications like CRM, FNO, and so on, or Azure services, or even SQL Server. Non-Microsoft data sources include like SAP ERP or Salesforce application, Freshdesk, Zendesk, ServiceNow, Oracle database, DB2, MySQL, PostgreSQL, or Adobe, or I mean document signing applications like DocuSign or Adobe Sign, or the platforms like say Amazon Redshift or Teradata and so on. This is only a selected list I'm giving you, but like we have about 300 plus pre-built connectors that helps you to build applications quickly. Now, as an enterprise, the primary concern every enterprise will have is on the security. When I'm going to build a web application or mobile application, how secure this will be, and how secure my data will be. With Power Apps, right, we use Azure AD as the primary authentication mechanism, and the application that you're going to build is uh, supported by Microsoft Intune, which is the mobile device management or mobile app management platform. So from an application security perspective and data security perspective, it is secured through both Azure AD as well as Intune. On top of that, Azure AD also supports multi-factor authentication. That way, you'll still be able to enforce even more stronger authentication mechanism as per your organization needs. Now, when it comes to web application, it can be accessible on any of the modern browsers like Internet Explorer or say Edge, Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. The mobile app is accessible immediately on the mobile device through, I mean, either on iOS or Android through Power Apps Player. So this Power Apps Player acts as a container, and all the applications will be available on it. While this is a container app, right, or a hybrid app, the application that you are going to create using Power Apps, you'll still be able to access the native device capabilities like camera controls, GPS locations, or even use the camera to scan the QR code or barcode, or take a signature from the end user using the device interface and so on. All this is possible without writing a single line of code. Now we talked about web application, mobile application, and all the applications that you can build using Power Apps. You want to have an approval process or a workflow process in place for these applications. So you'll be able to leverage Power Automate. So Power Automate is used for workflow automations that include approvals, sending notifications or sending alerts, or taking automated actions based on predefined events, or even for business process automations. So when I say business process automations, right, say for example, you are building an expense report application using Power Apps. Now you want to have this expense data, whatever the expense report you are creating, it has to go through an approval process. Post approval, this information has to be fed into, say for example, a Dynamics finance application, or SAP finance system for payments and financial consolidation. You will be able to leverage Power Automate for that. In addition to that, Power Automate also has RPA capabilities. For example, like the invoice processing scenario. So you will have a lot of invoices coming in from your suppliers. So you will be able to leverage AI Builder and Power Automate to automate this process. So AI Builder helps you to infuse low code or no code artificial intelligence capabilities, where we are providing pre-built AI models that you can readily use in your applications by simply training the model. For example, you are having a supplier who is sending invoices. You need to provide 5 different sample of same format of the invoice to train the model, so that the next time the invoice comes in, the platform will automatically pick up the invoice, extract the data, and using Power Automate, you'll be able to write it to the corresponding procurement application or finance application. And this invoice can be either in PDF format or image formats. Similarly, the other RPA capabilities include, like, say, for example, a desktop automation. Say, for example, you are receiving a data from, say, external source through Excel files. Now, this Excel data has to be fed into, say, web application or a desktop based application or a terminal based application. You will be able to leverage the Power Automate capabilities of the desktop automation capabilities to automate this particular process. Moving into the next part, which is Power Apps portals. So the application that you are going to build using Power Apps is primarily meant for enterprise employees and the business partners. Now, if you want to build an application for end customers in a B2C scenario, you will be able to leverage Power Apps portals, uh, which also supports Azure B2C authentication as well as third-party authentications as well. Moving to the last component, which is Power Virtual Agents. Power Virtual Agent is basically a low-code, no-code chatbot that is built on top of Azure Bot Framework. This is basically an intelligent self-learning chatbot that can be a simple FAQ bot or a complex transactional bot. When I say simple FAQ bot, like, say, for example, you have an order management portal. I wanted to know what is the returns policy. I can just go to the uh, Power Virtual Agent or the chat engine and ask what is the returns policy. It will look at the FAQ and give you a response. Now I want to know what is the order status, where it is. So it has to connect to the backend order management system, get the actual order status, and if it is shipped, where exactly in the shipment process. The complete information can be fetched and provided to you as a transactional bot. So Power Virtual Agent acts as a simple FAQ bot or a conversational transactional bot. I just want to give a little more brief on the next one, common data service, but I just want to take a pause and see if there are any questions that you may have, and I'm happy to address. I think there are no questions coming in. I'll move into the last slide, which is common data service. So as I mentioned, right, common data service is a proven database with a pre-built data model that is provided to you, which is extensible and customizable. And it is used to securely store and manage your business data. It's completely API friendly. And I'll talk about the security first, since it's a proven database. From a security perspective, right, the primary first level security is through Azure Active Directory with multi-factor authentication. And with common data service and Power Apps, the data is encrypted at rest and as well as during transit. You also have the flexibility to have field level security along with role level security and role based security with common data service with audit capabilities based on your business needs. Now, your build, we talked about security. When it comes to business logic, how this is handled in common data service. So you will also be able to define your own business logics within common data service while you build the data model by providing options to detect duplicates. Say, for example, you can define the duplicate detection keys so that you will be able to ensure only valid data goes into the system and no duplicate data getting into the system. You'll also be able to have a calculated and roll up fields or business rules return as a part of the application, no, sorry, at the database layer while you build your data model itself. When I say calculated fields, like, say, for example, you have a quantity field and a unit price field. The total field will do the give you the calculated or the uh, total will be a calculated field where it gives you the total cost. Now, roll-up field is used in scenarios where you want to get data across entities actually. Say, for example, you have a purchase order and there are purchase lines. So you want to get the total value at the purchase order, where purchase order is a different entity, purchase lines is another child entity. In that scenario, you will be able to use the roll-up field to get the total of the purchase order. Coming to the data itself, right? You will be able to model your own data model, or you'll be able to create your own data model based on your business needs along with certain data validations as well. So at field level, you will be able to specify whether it is required, read only, or even the kind of data type. so in a typical database scenario, right, you have either varchar or number or say date as the typical data types available. With Common Data Service, we provide you commonly used scenarios like the drop down values or multi-select drop down values or image fields, file fields apart from attachments, or the phone number fields or email fields as a pre-built or predefined data model available to you or data type available to you for building your own data model. When it comes to storage of this data, we provide you a comprehensive relational database along with file and blob storage, which is capable of handling both data as well as files, including images. You also will be able to capture semi-structured data with flexibility to integrate with external systems. When it comes to integrations, we provide event-based integrations, something similar to your database triggers, or through webhooks. And we also provide the flexibility to import and export data from Common Data Service. With this, I hand it over to our partner team, Sys4 team, who will be walking you through the application to give you more insight about the platform.
Thank you, Anand. I think it's a wonderful deep dive explanation about the Power Platform. I'll just share my screen. Hope I think if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll just give brief about like what Sys4. So Sys4 was founded in 2004 as an like enterprise web application company, and we were the first Microsoft Azure Gold partner in the country. So as we mentioned, so bottom four pillars, we primarily focus on Power Platform, Dynamics 365, on the customer engagement part, and we do a lot of cloud services as well as a mobile app and a responsive app things. So this is, we have a dedicated team for each pillar to focus on the areas. So I'll just move to the next slide. So here actually I would like to talk about Power App solutions which we built on the Power Platform. We were the early partners focusing on Power Apps and Power Automate. So we build dozen of applications on the Power App, like focusing on manufacturing or ITS, retail and distribution, infra and the retail. So these are all the like industries we identified, and we started building a couple of use cases. So like vendor invoice automation, purchase requisition, asset management, visitor management, partner onboarding. So it's like know your customer, and marketing spend management, manpower, inspection, and capex request. Even so, we have done a lot of apps built on the Power Platform, and I'll just quickly give. I'll take two scenarios here. One is a vendor invoice automation and marketing spend management. I'll just take both the case studies, and I'll just brief about the apps, as well as I'll give a demo on the both the products. So here actually like the marketing automation use case. So here this is like a kind of like initially we had a discussion with the ITS organization. They used to do marketing events, and they used to maintain in the Excel base. So every marketing event is to capture on the Excel, and the respective Excel spreadsheets will be shared with the managers to get an approval for the budgetary things, Similarly, like they don't have any digital standard in a place, and there was a SAP system which basically handles all the IO requisitions. So it's kind of a disconnected between the marketing team and the SAP system. And every time when they get a final approval, they used to create a manual IO creation at the SAP side. So this was actually the business challenges we identified. Then we started like done the complete end-to-end digitization in terms of like what we did here. So we leverage the Power Apps capability and we build entire marketing spend management, kind of like start with the requisitions. Like any marketing spoke can quickly create the marketing spend request and allocate a certain budget to the request, and again it will go for an approval through an email. So all the managers can leverage the approvals in an email, as well as they can come back to app level. We have provision to approve or reject or amend kind of thing, and we used to track each and every aspect, like where it lies and how effectively we can make it as a digitized thing. We have done the complete audit for the approval as well. So once it is finally approved, so basically the finance user or a finance POC will just quickly review on the marketing, and you can just create an IO creation at the app level, and we automatically push that IO creation to the SAP. So here we have done the SAP integration. That way we are managed end-to-end operations. And once the IO creation is done, the respective reference details we have to bring back to the system, and we have given the same visibility at the app level. So that's actually the one use case I would like to showcase. So another use case is the invoice automation. So here again, this is the one of our largest customers. So this is kind of like a complete manual driven the use case. So here actually like customer used to receive 12,000 plus invoices every month, and it's always like they may receive via email, or they may receive a physical copies at the mailing room, and they have 1,000 plus vendors sharing their own format. So it's like the formats will be vary from vendor to vendor. So that's actually the current the challenges they had, and there is no digital standard in place. So everything is a manual driven, and they were using the SAP HANA in the core ERP system. They have 12 different departments. So basically like a marketing department or a IT department, sales department. There are 12 independent departments there, and there is a separate finance manager for each department. So here the finance manager only handles the vendor's payment, and everything is a manual movement. So manual movement in the sense he receive an email by attaching the invoice. So he is to manually find all the supporting documents, and he is to attach, and he is to identify who is the stakeholders, and it is to move to kind of like a desk to desk. And for him, it's very difficult to track where my document lies and whether it is at the like a manager level, or what could be the reason why it. And they have kind of like a 45 payment 45 days payment cycle, and they couldn't able to track. So that's where actually the current what we identified, and we made a complete digitization. So by leveraging AI Builder capability, so what we done is we digitized entire vendor invoice format, and so it's like they have a different workflows for each department wise. So we configured the department wise workflows, and whenever vendor shares an invoice, or maybe if he sends a courier, So we leverage a builder to scan that and upload automatically into the application. So another part is here the integration with SAP. This is actually like very useful for the user, like a finance user. Basically, you want to check what is the budgetary allocated for this, whether it is a approved PO. So all those things we are integrated with SAP, so that for them it seamlessly verify, and just it's a kind of like a one-click action to invoke an approval. And so all the business users who are part of an approval, so they are leveraging email or Outlook, and they are not coming back to application to do the kind of an approval. So that way it's kind of like easy to maintain and easy to manage. All the vendor invoice documents we just integrated to the SharePoint. So that way in an email itself, you can just click on the invoice and supporting documents, and he can quickly review and he can approve that. So that way the payment cycle is reduced as low as 48 hours. If you see here, earlier they used to take 45 days to do a payment process. So when we introduced this complete digitization, the payment cycle was faster, and it's a seamless integrated with SAP. So that way there is no duplicate entries is happening. There is no duplicate invoices to be processed. So that's two cases. Let me go back to my demo session. So first, I would like to show the vendor invoice automation. So here, so this is where the app we built, and we built on the Power Platform called Power App. And as a finance manager can see all the requests which already he made, or what all the vendors we received, so you can quickly see all the aspects. So I'll just send an invoice. So imagine a vendor sending a invoice, which is as a dedicated mail ID will be provided by the customer. So here I'll just send an email to the respective finance manager by attaching the invoice. So as soon as an email received from a vendor, I am the finance guy, and I received an email saying that whatever the invoice is would like to process. So this is actually I received an email, and it has the invoice is attached. I can quickly review the document. So earlier you used to do complete manual. So what we have done here is, if you see the vendor invoice automation, there is a transaction automatically created, and it has the same data which I received via an email. Say invoice date, invoice number, supplier name, PO number, and it has 2 line items. It has a total of 46,020. So that's how I can able to see the same data here. So the beauty of the system is, again, whatever we received from an email, we are attaching as a note. So that way the finance manager can refer back and add additional supporting document in this. So once he feels that the data is good to go, he can do a validation with an SAP. So there is a PO number is captured from an invoice. He can just do it, validate with the PO number like a SAP. So here it validates with an SAP and says that yes, the purchase number exists, and that way at least he can say that okay, it's good to go for an approval. So here we have provided an option to invoke an approval. So as soon as the finance manager invoke an approval, so in this case as a department, so we have 3 levels of approval. So the first approval will go to the project SPOC, second approval it will go to project manager, the third level it will go to the finance head. So I'll just go to the project SPOC, and yes, just now you received an email at 3:40, and that's the invoice we just now invoked. So he can see the invoice date, invoice amount, and the invoice number. Again, as I said earlier, approver can click on this link So he can quickly review the invoice which is received from vendor. He can quickly refer back, yes, this is an invoice and it has a PO. So he can quickly verify, and he can take an action on the email itself by providing comments like approved by, well, I can put my comments. So as soon as I submit, in this case, the email will be triggered to the next level called project manager. So before going to the project manager, I would like to show we are capturing the audit as well in the application. So that way we can see where it lies, whether it lies at the POC level or the project manager level or a finance head level, and still the invoice status is pending. And I can see my project POC is already approved with the timestamp and the comment. Next, I'll moving to the next level is called project manager. So again, the project manager will receive an email with the similar details, and he can approve. So here again, you can approve or reject. I'm just doing an approval process here. And again, I'm going back to my app and I'm capturing the audit for the approval. Then I'm moving to the finance head. So here again, finance head will receive an email. So in this case, I'm capturing my previous project manager comments as well. So that way, I don't want to take in a deeper engagement or this one. I can just approve. So this is a third level approval, and once it is finally approved, all the approvals we captured, now automatically my status is changed to approver. So that way, actually, any invoice we can see the audit, and we are capturing the invoice which we received. So that way we can capture end to end. So once it is finally approved, we are passing an entry to the SAP as a payment initiation. So that way the SAP will still continue with the payment process. And if you see as a view, you should be able to see all the status, and whether it's approved or rejected, you can see the status, everything you can see. You can export to Excel, you can do further reporting purpose. So this is actually the vendor invoice automation I would like to show. So next, I am moving to the marketing app. So here again, as I said, marketing automation. So as a marketing spoke, when he logs in, he can see all the requests he made and what is the status of the approved or rejected and all. So in this case, I'll just quickly take the existing request. So here we are capturing in detail about an event, what is the event and who is the LOB and which country we are doing an event, company codes. So we are capturing a plenty of information about an event. Again, we are capturing the budget allocation for the event, and we are capturing attendee details like whether it is a budgetary in the current year and who's like how many domestic attendees, international attendees, kind of like we are who are the expected attendance audience. So all the details we are capturing here, and here we can attach the reference document. So that way we can manage entire marketing as a digital. So once we feel that good to go for an approval, so here I can just submit for an approval. So again here we are leveraging the approvals. Again we provided to approve from either app or an email. So I'll just quickly show the approvals here. So in this case, again, respective. So here like a marketing manager will receive an email with all the details like event name, event start, and approve. I'm just quickly approving this event. Again, it will be like a same. So it will go from one level to another level. And now another level is the project head. So that's how we are showcasing here. So now again, so here the CMO is the receiver same email and he can approve. So I'm doing a CMO level approval. So once the CMO is approved, again we are back to the finance head. So here the finance head it's finally, once it is finally approved. So again the finance user can do a budgetary update. So you can quickly update on the budgetary things. So like maybe they can do some budgetary updates. So as I mentioned earlier, once it is finally approved, so we used to create a IO creation. So this is again, we have done an integration with SAP where we used to capture the event detail and what is the SAP ID, what is the primary ID and all. And we used to push this information back to the SAP. And once SAP ID is generated, we are bringing the same SAP ID here for a reference. So that way we are managing end-to-end marketing event. And here we are capturing the audit as well, like who is approved, when is approved and all. And similarly, like we are able to see the same data. So that way they can manage their request. So if you go to my request, you can see the my request and any approvals is there. I can see all my approvals. And we provided a dashboard. So that way they can, whoever logs in, they can see the dashboard. So here the finance manager doesn't have any request, but whereas a marketing folk can see all the requests which he made, whether the draft, whichever is pending, you can see the pending things, any refer back, you can see the refer back, and what all the marketing events completed, you can see all the completed or rejected. So that way we have done end-to-end on the marketing, and we have done some reports as well, so that they can quickly pull out some of the reports and they can just export to Excel and they can keep it for the reference. So this is actually about the marketing spend management. Hope I think we covered both the things. Please let us know if you have any queries. I'm just stop sharing. Any queries?
Yeah, with this, we would like to open it up for Q&A. I would request all the attendees to please put up their queries directly into the chat box, or else you can raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask the question to our speakers.
Hi, my name is Ashish. I wanted to ask one question. Like, as you're saying that we can integrate Power Apps with SAP, so what type of connector is being used? And as we are exchanging the data from SAP into Power Apps and again back in SAP, so do we need any different license for this? Is there any license cost?
Okay. Ashish, from an SAP integration perspective, right, we leverage the REST APIs provided by SAP systems. From Microsoft perspective, there is no additional cost apart from the Power Apps licenses.
Okay, thank you.
So you mean to say that that API need to be consumed into the Power Apps application?
Yes, API will be consumed by Power Apps.
And as you said that this is the no code or low code, how that API can be configured into the Power Apps?
So remember I talked about the data connectors. So the data connectors takes care of
Power
the
Automate.
integrations.
Using Power Automate?
Yeah, no, I mean within Power Apps itself, you'll be able to consume those connector actions and so on to once the data is returned by SAP API. Say for example, you want to get the list of purchase orders in SAP system. So you'll call the procurement or purchasing APIs of SAP, which will return the list of POs, which can be shown in a gallery within Canvas app.
Okay.
And what is the
So
name
you
of
can
the
invoke the
connector? Okay.
you can invoke the I mean SAP APIs in two ways: directly from Power Apps or using Power Automate.
Okay, either Power Automate or directly in Power Apps.
In Power Apps, yes.
And do we need to access the Power App application through only this Power App portal, which is Microsoft portal?
No.
Or
Okay.
do we have any other option like a standalone application or web portal, something like?
Right. So Power Apps application can be accessed in multiple ways. One is by logging into say web or make.powerapps.com. The second option is embedding the Power Apps app into uh, Microsoft Teams. The third option is by embedding the Power Apps app into your intranet portal. Say, for example, like you have a homegrown portal which has collection of all the applications. You can add a button or an icon to access this particular app, or directly or by creating a short URLs actually. Say, for example, you'll see this short URLs like bit.ly / some hexadecimal codes, and then that will launch the applications, right?
Yeah.
You'll be able to access it that way as well.
So do we
Each
need
application has a unique URL generated.
Okay. And if want to access through URL at that time, do we need to deploy that into the IIS or?
Nothing required. Nothing required. It will be like a more of a HTTP redirect.
HTTP redirect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we have one question from Aishwarya Patil which says, can multiple users open edit the same app simultaneously?
Okay. So when it comes to Power Apps, right, you will be able to use two different I mean, you'll be able to create two different kind of application. One is Canvas app and other is model driven app. When it comes to Canvas app, it is only one people can access the application, but you have Power Apps components that can be modified by different set of users. Each component can be modified by different set of users. Similarly, in model driven app, each of the components like views, forms, charts and dashboards can be worked on by different set of users.
Hope that answers Ishwarya. I guess Mr. Rutabhadra has one more question. Maybe, sir, you can directly unmute
Okay.
yourself and ask the question directly.
So there is a question to integrate with SAP. Only REST API is used, or RFC can be also used. At this point of time, it is only REST APIs that are being consumed.
No, but sorry, Anand, the premium connectors which is there, Anand.
Okay.
Through that, they can actually access the RFCs and BAPIs.
Okay.
It is also available.
Or the SAP BAPIs, okay.
Yes, SSV, BAPI, and RFC, they could actually do that. So that through the connectors, they can actually do that.
Got it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, got it.
The next
Microsoft
question is,
connector you are saying, right? The which is readily available Microsoft connector for the SAP.
Exactly. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm from SRF Limited. We are on Oracle ERP. So you said through REST APIs we can connect to the Power Apps.
Yeah.
It is through the custom connectors component.
Right.
Is it possible if I do not expose my ERP application on the cloud, is it possible to connect through an on-premise gateway without
Definitely,
coming
yes.
through the cloud?
Definitely, yes. So that's the sole purpose of on-premise gateway. On-premise gateway acts as a secure tunnel to connect from Power Apps to your on-premise systems without exposing the on-premise systems over the internet. So you have to do certain configurations on the on-premise gateway and also whitelist the data center IP addresses of Microsoft so that the connection between Power Apps and your on-premise systems are established securely.
But that whitelisting is not required for Power BI, right? Only for Power Apps you require that.
I may not be able to comment for Power BI, but like yes, whitelisting of the data center IP address is recommended for
only
the Azure services as well, actually.
Okay. And are there any built-in connectors for Oracle ERP?
No, we don't have a pre-built connector to Oracle ERP. Only to Oracle database there is a pre-built connector available.
That's the premium connector.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, any of the premium connectors, you'll be able to access it with the standalone Power Apps license.
Okay. I have one more question on the demo that was shown on the invoice automation. So there it was shown that multiple invoices which are received from multiple vendors can be through a AI builder can be scanned and the data can be picked up. So how much time it takes because every invoice will be of different layout and configuration. So how do you achieve this? Are you achieving it in totality or it is just 10% invoices is taken and configured? So I would like to know about that use case, what he was explaining.
Yeah, so how we see, as I said, right? So there are like 1,000+ vendors, and each vendor had a different kind of vendor invoice format. So what we have done is kind of like each vendor we used to collect 5 similar samples and we used to train in the model and we used to map. So maybe it's kind of like a tedious work, like, but as a one-time activity we have done for the customer.
Okay, so it has to be done for each vendor separately.
Yes, each vendor, because as I mentioned, because the vendor formats are different. Like maybe sometimes if it is similar kind, I can give an example. Like if all the vendors are generating from Tally, so probably the Tally format is more or less it's the same. So that way, like again, it's depending upon their ERP system where they are generating their invoice format.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi, this is Sampada. I just want to like gain a perspective. So could you give me a use case, if possible, for how this will be integrating with Salesforce? Like some use case in which case Salesforce and will integrate this together, sort of example.
Right. Say for example, like you are using a Salesforce application for say the CRM process where you have a lead and opportunity information getting captured in Salesforce application. Okay, you want to build, say for example, a quote order management and invoicing application. You can leverage Power Apps to build that application to get data from, after opportunity, Power Apps app is invoked for the quote management process.
Okay. Okay, and so the integration will be like with connected.
There is a pre-built connector available to Salesforce.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, there is one more question on the chat. Sorry, yeah, Nani, got.
No, actually, I would like to share one more use case. So we had a same challenge in terms of in the Salesforce, kind of like a inquiry management. So this inquiry management was not part of Salesforce. So that way, actually, like we can leverage the Power Apps to build the inquiry management. So this any landing page from your website or any omni-channel integration, we can do to the Power Apps, and all the inquiry management happen at the Power App side. Once you feel that this will be kind of a like a potential, then we used to push that inquiry to the respective lead into the Salesforce. So that could be one more valid use case where you can leverage Power Apps if you already have Salesforce in place in your organization.
Okay. So just adding
like a pre-sales process.
Yeah, just adding to what Nani said, in large organization where it's a huge number of field force, you don't need to give each of them the Salesforce license. Instead, you could actually create a Power App which would actually do all the activities through an app available for the users on their mobile. And this can be your inquiry management, it can be your day-to-day activities, people who are traveling, the field sales force, where they visited, what activities they did, even their daily travel, all those things can actually be built onto this rather than having it as an individual Salesforce license there. So it's very cost effective, and we know a few customers who are actually doing that.
Yes, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we have one more question. That is, what is the minimum release?
So finally, we think we have to take this as the last question because
yeah. I take this as the last question. Yes. What is the minimum release and support pack level of SAP is required to connect to Power Automate? Is ECC6 with 0 support pack level supported?
See, we can share a link on that. ECC6 is definitely supported. But if you want to have more detail, we'll share you the link, which actually details that. We'll put it on the chat right away.
Okay.
I have added those.
With this, I would like to.
Yeah, thanks, Anand. I think that's the right one. That link gives the entire details about the platform, the version which is supported from the SAP point of view.
Okay.
I think
thank you so much, all of you. Yes, sir. If we still have further questions, you can just write back to us and we'll be happy to connect you to the concerned partners from Microsoft and Cisco. With this, thank you so much, all of you, for your time today and joining us for this session today. Hope this was beneficial for all of you. Thank you so much once again. Thank you so much to all our speakers as well for sparing your time.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.